What's up, everybody? This is Mark from SolarGames, and today, got that crisp, fresh off the press, Q1 Hasbro earnings call. And what a fine quarter it has been. Let's just quickly, hey guys, round of applause for Hasbro. After 2 years of consistent losses, finally, we've turned a quarter that's actually profitable. Yeah. I don't understand how investors and board members and all the other people are allowing them to continue to run this company at a loss consistently, making stupid decisions. But hey, man, like, finally, we're at a point where we're making profits. And the divestment of this really bad business with this Entertainment One business is finally done. Like, we're no more E1, no more film and movies where you literally produce movies and lose money. It's pretty insane. Anyways, getting a little ahead of ourselves, right? Some highlights, right? Baldur's Gate, doing really well. Apparently, winning a ton of awards. The game's doing well. Lots of people like it. Seems like the royalty, they think they're going to have it for a while, but obviously this thing has a tail, right? As less and less people buy the game, the hype is kind of dying down. So there is a point where Baldur's Gate no longer becomes is the hottest game that's still earning consistent revenue, right? However, this isn't true for Monopoly Go. So guys, I was wrong, okay? Maybe this is one of those pleasant surprises. I was actually wrong. Originally, I ragged on this game. I said, hey, this is stupid. Like, who's playing Monopoly? But apparently, okay, I'm not playing Monopoly. My friends aren't playing Monopoly, but I'm the wrong target audience. You see, the grandmas, the retired veterans, those guys, right? I mean, you got a lot of people who are just, or the casual gamers, right? The people who are like, I really want to go back to when I was like a little kid and I could play Monopoly, right? But now I can do it on my phone, on the toilet, etc. And of course, with a little in-app purchase, you can get a little head or whatever, that kind of stuff. So yeah, Monopoly Go is doing super well. And just like any mobile game, I don't know why like Hasbro at this point hasn't turned into a mobile game company, but just like any mobile game, right? It's the fastest growing mobile game actually. That's, again, boom, right? Shocker number one. It's insane. I looked at some data too, right? This thing basically had $2 billion in revenue since launch, which is only a year ago. So in 1 year, they've had $2 billion of revenue. I don't know how much they spend on advertising, but it seems like in mobile game land, the way that the ratio works out is you spend a lot of money on advertising, right? Either you influencers, streamers, all the different apps that advertise for you to then pull new users in who then potentially spend some. So you kind of have to like ROI this math out correctly, where if I see an ad and the ad costs me $1, I better spend like on average $1, right? Otherwise, I'm not getting money like even flat. And maybe if I really need this person to spend like $5 to $10 so I can get a 10x multiplier on my investment. So for some comparison, by the way, so Genshin Impact, right? Everyone knows what Genshin Impact is. $5 billion of revenue since launch. But that was over 4 years ago. It was 2020 when Genshin was launched. It's a pandemic game. So of course it did super well. Anime artwork, etc., right? But maybe we're seeing the tail end of Genshin a little bit because it's hitting 5 billion and kind of stuck. Whereas Monopoly Go in 1 year hit 2 billion. It's a little bit more generic, and I'm sure it hits a wider audience, which is in Monopoly Go's favor, right? And of course, this whole like general broad approach is probably a good idea, meaning like, hey, maybe we see Twister Go next, or some other like Hasbro traditional board game become the next, like, Connect 4 Go, right? Yahtzee Go. I don't know. Like, I'm actually Yahtzee Go. That's a good idea. Okay, wait, hold on. Maybe Yahtzee's not even Hasbro. Is it Hasbro? I forgot. Cool. Now, of course, they also highlighted Magic is expected to be down a little bit this year. I think what they're not saying is that is indicating that they're probably going to reduce print run a little bit. But the way that they kind of framed it was because not every year is going to be a Lord of the Rings year, right? But they do think that this year they have Final Fantasy and Marvel, which confused me a little bit because I'm thinking in my head, like, what's a bigger IP? Is it Lord of the Rings or Marvel? I feel like if you do Marvel, you should see up here, right? Final Fantasy. So it's kind of tricky. I'm a little bit confused by that statement simply because I think what he's trying to say is we're going to reduce print runs. But he can't actually say that because then the investors are going to leave. So you say something like, hey, it's not Lord of the Rings, right, guys? But Marvel should bring in more audience. So it should actually help to sell more boxes. But I guess if you print less boxes, then who cares, right? And then there's like some talk and foreshadowing of lots of improvements to D&D and expanding D&D beyond with, like more content, expansions, etc., which I think is overall good. Basically, it's like this, right? If you provide your customer with valuable, content, they're going to want to pay for it. It's fine, right? Like nobody complains paying for content. That's good. The problem is when you do it where you take other people's content, you then try to sell it to your audience and then try to take money both ways. That's an issue, right? So in general, like, of course, if you're providing the content, you're actually putting work into it, you sell a superior product, of course, your customer is going to buy it, right? So that's good. Overall, hey, these are all the highlights, right? Now to some like more realistic things that Hasbro is going to have to figure out, okay? This toy business, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't know who's running the ship. I don't know, I don't know why they haven't fired whoever's running all the different pillars of the products yet, but why is it allowed that this toys business just continues losing money? Yes, I understand. This toys business has a pretty high revenue, but a high revenue doesn't mean bullshit, shit if you're losing money, right? That's like me saying, hey man, Black Lotus sells for a lot of money, okay? So I'm going to buy a Black Lotus Unlimited, okay, for $50,000 and sell it for, hold, $28,000. See the problem, right? Yes, revenue for Black Lotus is very high, but you're losing money on every single card you buy, right? There's a problem there. Versus maybe I just buy some like a, $1 card. I sell it for $4 and I'm making a good profit, right? Just do that 1,000 times. And this is the problem with the toy business. It is a bigger market and they do have inventory issues that they're trying to flash sale, whatever, get rid of the inventory because holding inventory also sucks, right? That storage cost, that's all this extra cost that's burning on their own products. Basically what that means is that if you calculate cost basis for the actual items, it increases the cost basis because, originally you might consider it just production, shipping, whatever, as the cost basis for an item. But if you have to hold it in storage for, let's say, years, that increases what the cost of that item is each time. So, of course, reducing inventory is good. But my other issue with that, too, reducing inventory, is that you're actually decreasing the value of your company effectively, right? So imagine, again, we'll use trading cards. This is what I know. Like I have a lot of cards in my inventory, right? Obviously, if I don't sell the cards, they're kind of dead inventory. They're stuck there. They're a mark on my ledger, right? But if I don't sell a card at the same time, whatever their market value is, that's value for my company. But if I clear the inventory at, let's say, a loss, I no longer have that value for the company. So the value of the company actually goes down, even though my cash position has gone up, right? Okay, let me be more specific. Let's say you have $100 in cards, right? Whatever that means, maybe you have one card, maybe you have $101 cards, whatever. $100, right? You can hold it in inventory because it's really hard to sell the cards right now. Nobody wants to buy these $1 cards. Everyone's going to pay you 50 cents for it. Or you can flash sell it and sell it for 50 cents and now have $50. But when you had 100 cards with a market value of $1, your inventory, your company, your whatever is worth $100. But once you convert that inventory into cash, where you're basically getting 50 cents for each card, now you have $50. So now your company, your whatever total asset is actually worth 50 because that's how much cash you have. You don't have inventory anymore. So it's a little bit tricky, right? Because if you're flash selling, it's not necessarily a good thing to reduce that inventory because it does make your company look like weaker, smaller. But again, Hasbro did have a ton of inventory that they don't want to have backlogged. Usually companies like this, consumer goods, whatever, or luxury goods, you kind of want to be a little bit like 3 to 6 months worth of inventory is totally sufficient. You don't actually need more than that, especially because, again, this market, toys, it's kind of like in flux, right? What if some toy goes out of brand or goes out of style? People don't really want a certain thing all the time. So it's okay to have like a shortage. For example, Magic sometimes will sell out and they don't have more boxes. And then that is a signal for them to go print more boxes. So effectively, the print to demand type of system works really well for a company because you don't have to hold the inventory. It's extra cost that you're not incurring, right? Again, reducing inventory in general is good, but reducing inventory at a loss where it basically devalues your company may not be so good. So there's that. But again, toy business, man, like you're selling inventory at a loss. You have a huge inventory. Sales are down. I mean, even when you're selling at a loss, fire sale, sales are down 21%. Okay. It could be just because, again, like its gross revenue is going to be down because you're selling it for cheaper, right? But for me, I'm just thinking through this, like, at this point, if you're losing money consistently, like this quarter, it's not that bad, but they lost like I think $26 million. If you consistently still lose money, why not just quit this business altogether? Stop selling toys because you're probably not very good at it. Whatever the problem is, you haven't figured this out, right? And I know Hasbro used to be a toy company. The problem is though, they bought a really nice company called Wizard of the Coast, and now they have another revenue stream. I think if Hasbro converts and changes the company to be more focused on Wizard and some other things, which I'll talk about in a sec, then I think the company could be actually super, super, super profitable. Okay, entertainment, right? We talked about this again, cost center. Even in my first video 2 years ago when they announced like the purchase and whatever, right? And then start figuring out, okay, well, we purchased E1, we're going to divest some positions, etc. I looked at the balance sheet, I looked at what they're doing, and I'm like, this is a stupid ass like purchase. They spent, again, reminder for everyone who missed that video, $4 billion to purchase E1. And I'm not even sure what they got. They got kind of like a failing entertainment business that wasn't really doing so hot. It's like, is this really the field that your Hasbro is super expert in? You're gonna buy this company and run it like profitably? Whereas like, Marvel was purchased by Disney for $4 billion. And Disney instantly made so much money on that, right? And the reason, if you look at it, why? Marvel, right, was making a lot of films. Disney was like, we make films. We've been making films for years. We know how to do this. We need your IP because we can't sell a movie that says Marvel. We can't, our whatever other branding can't be in the same movie. We want to put them all in the same movie. Great. You buy Marvel. Then you could put all your characters in the same movie. Your fans like it. Boom, go, right? Sell all the merchandise, etc. Actually, funny thing about that, make a successful movie as Disney, license the brand to Hasbro, and have Hasbro sell your toys. And guess what happens? With a licensing deal, like I kind of just get profits, right? Hasbro has to deal with the stupid inventory issues, glut, etc., quality issues, returns, all that other bullshit. So Hasbro is kind of like the middleman here, helping Disney sell toys. It is what it is, right? So finally, after 2 years of realizing this is just a stupid cost center, 4 years, and then not really making any money, the Hasbro actually just decided, hey, you know what, we're going to quit this whole entertainment E1 business. So they finally sold it. I think this is the last vestige of the whole business. It's gone, right? They first sold the music part of it, then the movie part of it, the TV shows, etc. Now the whole thing's gone. They're not going to do this entertainment one business anymore because it's losing money all the time, right? Because of that sale has completed, there is a small cash bump. Again, this is the whole like I sold a business, even at a loss, I still can bump up my cash a little bit position. Again, the bigger part though is no longer are they bleeding cost for production. Effectively, they were making movies at a loss. Like they would spend all this money making a movie, right? Go to theaters and then literally don't make their investments back. And that is a big, big, big problem if you run an entertainment company and cannot consistently actually profit on your entertainment. Anyways, finally sold it. Now this, because of selling this, reducing their costs, getting a small little cash bump, actually made this quarter profitable. And of course, guys, who's the cash cow that's actually pushing all of this together? Wizard of the Coast and digital gaming, right? Doing super well. So this is something I kind of didn't realize, but I realize now that Wizard of the Coast and digital gaming, this segment that they kind of categorize together, does include Monopoly Go and the whole like licensing part of that. So that money is pushing like, their amounts, the kind of contributing to the bottom line of Wizard of the Coast's like, I don't know, financial numbers. But essentially like Monopoly Go, Pleasant Surprise, Fallout Commander, as a set for what was the Coast doing super well, right? Apparently, Fallout Commander is one of the best-selling Commander sets ever, and I don't know how they're measuring this, whether it's like best-selling up to this date or over all time. But I thought Warhammer did that last quarter. Are they saying they sold better than Warhammer? Which, if that's true, crazy. Because I remember Warhammer already had like multiple reprints, right? And reprints of the collector boxes too. So I guess if Fallout Commander is doing super well, expect reprints of that coming as well. So it is what it is. I'll probably pick up some on the reprint because I do think Fallout's kind of cool. I don't really want a lot of it, but I think it's kind of cool to have some, right? Outlaws of Thunder Junction is doing well so far. I think, of course, like, with any new set of Magic, like this is going to be, like a little bit better. It's definitely better than Markov, right? Markov, Murder MKM, Murders at Markov Manor. But is it like super, like a way, Markov, Murders at Karlov Manor? I feel like everyone makes that mistake. It's just so easy to say. Anyways, OTJ, Outlaws of Thunder Junction, is doing better than Markov, Karlov Manor. But, who knows long term whether it's going to do well. This set is pretty boosted, though, because it does have the stupid, like, it has all this, extra stuff, right? The list, the big score, you got, like, the big news or, like, breaking news. There's a lot of extra cards inserted into the set, so it's definitely boosting the set overall. Apparently, the big scorecards are kind of hard to get, so it makes it even more like valuable, I guess, overall. So, yeah, no talks of Karlov Manor, of course, on this call because that thing is losing money. It's not a good set so far. Okay, but yeah, overall, Wizards doing well, right? As expected, another quarter, very profitable. I don't mean profitable; I mean very profitable at 39% margins, right? So, majority of Hasbro's profit is just Wizards, kind of like Wizards of the Coast and digital gaming kind of pushing that up. Now, there is a small little dip in Arena economy, right? So in Arena, I think they were reporting that it's like slowing down a little bit. Most of this is because Arena doesn't have parity to paper. And so there were a lot of questions asked about this too during the post-call like Q&A section. And a lot of people were kind of curious whether like why Arena is not doing so hot. Are you not putting the investment in, etc.? And it just sounds like, it's really tough for Wizards of the Coast to have parity between Arena and paper. And they would design things for paper, and that they just don't show up to Arena. And I don't know what the future of Magic is, but remember, MTGO, right, is like, Moto is gone, right? It's sold to a third-party company. They run MTGO, but it's kind of like not really a Wizards thing anymore. It's against like royalty deal type of thing, but it's sold, right? So, yeah. So Arena is kind of like Wizards' only client left. So is the plan to make Arena kind of take over MTGO long term? I think so, right? If I was Wizards, that would be the smart way to do it. But how long that takes, when you actually can do that, that's really tricky. Surprisingly, maybe not surprisingly, zero mention of why Cynthia Williams left or that the fact that she did leave. It's just like a silence on that whole thing, right? Like Wizards of the Coast lost their CEO and nobody talks about it. I don't know why there were no investors or the analysts asking about this question too. I would have expected somebody to get on the call and be like, so Cynthia Williams left. Can you comment on that a little bit? Chris Cox? Nothing. I mean, Chris Cox did congratulate like 3 board members that left and graduated, retired, etc. There was a lot of that commotion, right? Oh, and we replaced them with 3 new board members who are going to be really awesome, knows the gaming industry really well. But nothing about Cynthia Williams. Really tricky. But I guess that does, probably confirm my suspicion that, either she probably just like got a better job or whatever. Something happened, right? And it's not a graceful exit. Because if it's graceful exit, mutual, everybody's happy with it, Chris would have said something, right? And even when people kind of like leave, like, like if they're just like, hey, I'm exiting, I'm going to a different company, you would say something. But the fact that they didn't say anything, especially when the overall like monetary news is pretty good, is a little weird, right? So usually you should say something Just be like, hey, on the back of this quarter, great quarter, etc. Cynthia Williams has decided to move forward with her career. We congratulate her and thank her for her, contributions to helping us, go to market with Magic the Gathering on, this kind of words. Like, I don't know why they didn't do that at all for this call, and it's just like silence, radio silence, kind of weird. So I think when I think about this, when I look at the earnings call, when I look at what's working, what's not working, I don't know why Hasbro hasn't even considered, or maybe they should, going into the gaming industry. Like, forget toys, keep the IP, but don't make any more toys, and license out like other people to go make Monopoly or whatever, right? And books, Peppa Pig, etc. And then focus their efforts on building like mobile games, right? What if they just hire a bunch of like developers, right? And then actually make MTG Arena super, super good. Make some other like Magic-related mobile games. Make some D&D mobile games. Like, what I heard is they're working with like the creators of Demio. Demio, for those that don't know, is like this really cool like RPG game where you can like literally physically roll dice, and it's like a little bit indie, right? The people who play it, like me, I love the game, right? I don't have enough time to go play it, but I do like the game when I do get to play it. And I could see how that's amazing if you kind of combo that with D&D mechanics, right? Demio is a little bit simple, but if you add in more D&D mechanics, I think it could be really cool, like very visual D&D experience, right? But why are you kind of contracting that out? Bring that in-house. Buy the studio. If you like whoever's making Demio, dude, I'm pretty sure they are cheap. They're not $4 billion. You don't even need to spend $4 billion. Buy them, have them start making games for you, and then go like, I don't know, buy like Larian Studios or whatever. Like, buy these other companies that are out there, right? With all your cash from selling E1, and maybe just Wizard of the Coast, right? With all the money that Wizard of the Coast is bringing in for you, buy some other company. I'm serious. If they own in-house a mobile game company, as evil as that is, they will make a lot of money. And then they can start monetizing their own IPs directly. No more licensing, no more royalties. And by the way, it's really crazy too, right? Like, Monopoly Go being as successful as it is, Chris Cox mentioned something like, oh, we're looking at maybe next year we're going to go above the minimum. That's really strange, right? I mean, unless we're saying basically to run a mobile game, like to get $2 billion in revenue, you have to spend, I don't know, like $1.7 billion or something crazy like that. I don't know. But, there's a contract minimum that they probably, have with the creators of Monopoly Go, right? Scopely, right? But the thing is, like, apparently they don't make enough money to go above the contract minimum. So they're just getting paid the minimum for this year. I find that very strange. I don't know what kind of contract they laid out, what kind of like percentage they were supposed to be paid, but on a $2 billion revenue, they're not making more than contract minimum on the fastest growing game. I mean, like, you make the fastest, best mobile game, right? Fastest growing mobile game. And you can't make contract minimum? Seems strange to me, right? Something's not right. Maybe it's just startup costs. Like, hey, it's first year. Scopely says, hey, we've spent a lot of money to build the game. So the first year, our numbers are not good. Next year, because it's all profit at that point, we don't need to like put a significant amount of time on developing the game. But still, $2 billion, I mean, that's a lot of money. I mean, how much do they spend developing the game, right? So it's kind of crazy. So I don't know how that works exactly. Chris Cox didn't really go into it too much, but he did reaffirm like, hey, yeah, we're looking at maybe even earlier getting some more like better than contract minimums. And like, you're getting only contract minimum on the fastest growing mobile game. It's, again, when you say it out loud, it just sounds ridiculous. Anyways, that was the Hasbro Q1 earnings call. With that kind of trajectory, though, it does look like Hasbro, if they can continue this path, they will do very well, right? And they might be able to bring their stocks back up to where they were before, finally. But my issue right now is like, Hasbro has been consistently inconsistent, and that doesn't seem, like it's changing next quarter. So who knows? They were very positive, but they were very cautious as well. So they were saying we may adjust our year-end numbers, next quarter if we are still seeing a really, really good quarter. So we'll see what happens. I think Final Fantasy, I think Marvel is going to boost Wizards sales very well. But again, Wizards probably is just going to make another 40%, profit margin, quarter after quarter, and then finally for the year too. I think what really will help Hasbro is if the toy business makes money and if they figure out a way to monetize their IPs better, right? Again, bring those game developers in-house. Anyways, that's going to do it for me for today. I'm Mark from Solar Games. I'll see you next time. Stay classy.